Dear friends, I've just sent you various emails with a lot of information and thought I'd convert this into an audio podcast that you might be able to tune into rather than reading the four relatively lengthy emails that I've sent. These four relate to some global updates on immunization supply chains, that's important for you to be aware of. The second is around the GFAP monitoring indicator on immunization supply chains. The third is on the WHO-UNICEF joint statement on the comprehensive approach to EVM. And the fourth one is on a joint statement, again by WHO and UNICEF, on oxytocin in the vaccine cold chain. First two messages are really about our information sharing, with the first email that I sent really by far being the longest of the four. The other two, I'll be requesting some comments, feedback, and inputs, so I wouldn't mind if you would have time to give these to me at your earliest convenience. Note that there's some attachments and other information in the emails that you're not going to get on this podcast. So introductions aside, let me now start with global updates. And really at headquarter level, and after years of limited attention from global partners like Gavi and Gates and others, the immunization supply chain and vaccine management world is becoming a hot topic. Funding is being mobilized for this, and the planning for implementing changes is moving fast. So it's within this context that it's worth updating you on three recent events. The first one is about raising awareness of the problem, and we've done this at the SAGE. For the past year, we've been drumming up support and raising awareness on the challenges that countries face with their immunization supply chain. We've been partly riding on the coattails of Project Optimize, a project that gave visibility to this area of work, and opportunities from the global immunization community at large, which has started to shift into listening mode and a lot more receptive to the challenges countries are facing on supply chain and logistics systems. This led to WHO, together with UNICEF, to organize two sessions at the SAGE. This is the Strategic Advisory Group of Experts. And these sessions took place both in November of 2013 and in April of this year. For those of you that are unfamiliar, the SAGE is basically the principal advisory group to the WHO on overall global policies and strategies, ranging from vaccines and technology, research and development, to delivery of immunization and its linkages with other health interventions. The SAGE on immunization was established back in 1999 by the Director General of WHO, and the topic of supply chain and logistics, believe it or not, had never until these sessions been brought up to SAGE. And this is despite the fact that in recent years, SAGE has made several WHO recommendations on new vaccine introductions, which ones to introduce, particularly pneumo, rota, and HPV. And we felt it was important for members to be sensitized and understand some of the implementation issues that countries are grappling with when they're trying to follow through on these recommendations for new vaccine introductions. Among the issues are those concerning cold chain capacity, supply chain readiness for new vaccine introduction, and so on. So when getting wind of the opportunity to raise these issues at SAGE, the IPAC, which is the Immunization and Practice Advisory Committee, was keen to join this awareness-raising crusade. In case the IPAC is familiar with you, it is a separate external advisory committee, a little like the SAGE, but it has a more narrow focus on advising the director of IVB at a headquarter level on matters related to program implementation in the field, including supply chain and logistics issues. As it turned out, a working group of the IPAC, together with the WHO Secretariat, prepared the materials for these two sessions at SAGE. And to hammer the point home, the IPAC wanted to sort of send a strong signal and drafted a call to action on strengthening immunization supply chain systems in countries. So when these sessions were organized at the SAGE, we successfully managed to get the attention of the members. In addition, during the April SAGE meeting, the SAGE members endorsed the IPAC call to action, along with the WHO and UNICEF joint statement on EVM. So these are important milestones to be awareness. And so you might be asking yourself, well, what's the big deal? So what? This is great, but what's really going to change? And I think from now on, what's important to know is that SAGE, which is an important advisory body, will be a champion to our cause for improving country immunization supply chains, and it has the clout to actually reach all the way up to the DG of WHO, and a lot of partners listen to SAGE. So to have them on our side is going to be hugely important. The other thing is that SAGE has agreed that they will consider the impact on immunization supply chains when they deliberate on any new vaccine introduction. So I think this is ensuring that in the future we can go back to SAGE on issues related to supply chains. And thirdly, the SAGE is open to support WHO in shaping policies and recommendations that can support change in countries. So I think these are important opportunities that are worth raising. If you want to actually access some of these materials, the SAGE presentations, the IPAC call to action, the actual deliberations of the SAGE, which are published in the WER, etc., just check out the Dropbox link that I've placed in the first email message. So that's for the first update on raising awareness of the problems at SAGE. The second update is actually moving from raising awareness to developing a global strategy and raising money through Gavi. So while raising awareness is only part of the solution, the second update is to inform you of recent efforts to develop a global immunization supply chain strategy and have this resourced by Gavi. As background, during the Gavi board and partners meeting in Tanzania back in 2012, it was decided that Gavi needed to pay closer attention to the immunization supply chain challenges in Gavi countries. Really felt that this was becoming a bottleneck to actually increasing coverage or introducing new vaccines. But what should Gavi do? Where should it focus its attention? Where should it direct its future investments? What should Gavi prioritize to support countries strengthen and improve their supply chain systems? To answer these questions, a multi-partner task force was constituted in early 2013, and this task force had the mandate to develop a Gavi Alliance immunization supply chain strategy and to get this strategy approved by the Gavi board. So for the better part of a year, this task force worked towards developing this strategy, and on June 18th, just so very recently, the Gavi board endorsed the strategy, including a 20 million resource envelope to support activities in 2014 and 2015. In addition, immunization supply chain is embedded in the framework for the next 5-year Gavi strategy. This is what is known as Gavi 4.0. So you know that Gavi 1.0 was a 5-year strategy between 2000 and 2005. The Gavi 2.0 was a 5-year strategy between 2006 2010. And we're currently in Gavi 3.0, which is the 5-year strategy that stretches between 2011 and 2015. So we're now entering the planning for phase Gavi 4.0, and we know already that in addition to the approval of the Gavi strategy on supply chain, this is going to be folded into the overall Gavi 5-year strategic plan for the next 5 years. And this all happened very recently, just a week ago at the Gavi board. But what is this supply chain strategy? Well, it has two main funding components. There is first a country funding component, which is really built into the HSS window of support. Um, in essence, the strategy is going to make it easier for countries to request funding to strengthen their supply chain systems in an HSS proposal, including supporting the implementation of comprehensive EVM improvement plans. And so to achieve this, Gavi will, and has already started to, make changes in the HSS guidelines and application processes so that countries can more easily request resources for supply chain strengthening through the HSS window of support. So that's basically to sort of cover countries. There's also a partner funding component, which is going to be built in the Gavi business plan process. And in practice, this means that more resources will be available to the Gavi Alliance partners like WHO and UNICEF and others to support this area of work and provided the activities that are being requested fit within the overall vision and objectives as articulated in the strategy. In fact, the 20 million funding envelope that was provided from Canada and was approved at the last Gavi board in June is actually going to be feeding into the Gavi business plan process for this year and primarily the 2015 Gavi business plan, so that partners like WHO can be resourced to support countries. Otherwise, in practice, the strategy has 5 main pillars around strengthening, firstly, supply chain network design and optimization. Secondly, cold chain equipment, including some market shaping aspect to that so that prices of cold chain equipment can be driven down. Thirdly, the whole aspect around distribution systems for immunization, so looking at the transport, especially in-country transport of vaccines. And fourth component around data for management, which is essentially the logistics management information systems. And the fifth pillar is on human resources for logistics. So these are the 5 big pillars of the Gavi strategy on supply chain. And of course, if you look through the document itself that was produced and presented to the board, it's quite an ambitious strategy. And of course, in the meantime, there isn't enough funding to support everything that is in the strategy. But knowing that it will feature within the next 5-year Gavi strategic plan for 2016-2020, there is scope to get resources to move towards that ambitious goal. But in the meantime, given some of the resources already available this year and next year, and I'm referring to the 20 million, there's enough to support what is known as the 3+1 initiatives. In other words, within the 5 pillars of the strategy, 4 initiatives have been prioritized in the short term. The first one is around supply chain managers, and this is to ensure that EPI is staffed with a qualified supply chain manager with the right capabilities and authority to oversee the entire national immunization supply chain. The second is supply chain improvement plans, and this is really about supporting countries to develop and implement comprehensive EVM improvement plans and moving beyond just the traditional EVM, but moving more towards a holistic plan for their supply chain. The fourth initiative is what's called the supply chain dashboard, and this is to establish a country data dashboard to strengthen the visibility of supply chain performance and really promote the use of information for improved management. And so those are the 3 initiatives, but it's called the 3+1 initiatives, and the +1 is about supply chain design. And this is to support countries rethink the network design of their system in country and seeing if they want to change things that way and to promote some optimization approaches and solutions and methods that we know are from the evidence we have in other countries, that we know this is able to raise performance of the supply chain. For each of these initiatives, these 3+1 initiatives, a partner lead has been assigned. For the supply chain manager initiative, that's going to be led by UNICEF Supply Division, because they are also hosting the People That Deliver initiative. For the second one, on supply chain improvement plan, this is going to be led jointly by WHO and UNICEF under the umbrella of the Immunization Supply Chain and Logistics Hub. The third initiative on supply chain dashboard is going to be led by WHO. And the or the fourth initiative on supply chain design, that is going to be led by the Gavi Secretariat. So in practice, what this means is that the bulk of the 20 million that's been recently approved will be channeled into the 2015 Gavi business plan to support activities around these 3+1 initiatives. So as you begin to plan for your needs for 2015, and this is in follow-up to the message that Solo has recently sent to all of you, really please consider these funds and make specific proposal within the business planning process on additional elements or pieces that you'd like to scale up in your region. And note that these resources aren't limited to just activities and consultants, but there is the window to staff up as well if you can do that in your region, or even in countries put in some people. So if you're interested in reviewing the actual strategy that was presented to the board, please also go into that same Dropbox link that I've shared with you in your email, in the email that I sent. So that wraps up the second update on developing a global strategy for immunization supply chains and raising money through Gavi. The third global update relates to setting up an enhanced collaboration platform with UNICEF known as the Hub. Over the past year or so, you've probably heard about the efforts to constitute a joint WHO and UNICEF hub for immunization supply chain and logistics strengthening. In short, we call it the Hub. For the moment, the efforts on the Hub have primarily been at the global or HQ level. But in the near future, we hope this approach can trickle down to regional and country level, but recognizing that this is going to take time. But what exactly are we talking about? At the HQ level, the spirit of the Hub is really around these 5 ideas. The first one is enhanced collaboration and coordination between WHO and UNICEF at the headquarter level. Why are we doing this? Well, because we feel we can be stronger and more efficient if we coordinate our actions on immunization supply chain and logistics, and ensure that we plan jointly around common goals and objectives. In addition, this makes us stronger to raise resources, particularly with Gavi. So this is one reason to do this. The second is setting the strategic direction and leveraging funding opportunities with Gavi and Gates. You might ask why. It's really the feeling now that Gavi and Gates are becoming important forces in this area. So while they weren't really engaged in supply chain and logistics in the past, they're really coming in strong now and are funding a multitude of new partners and NGOs, CHAI, AMP, JSI, Village Reach, PATH, and so on and so forth. And at the moment, the partner landscape for supporting countries is becoming increasingly more fragmented. And we're becoming just one, WHO and UNICEF are becoming players among this constellation of other NGOs and partners in there. And we could better influence the global level direction if both agencies can align and speak with one voice. So if we want to show leadership in this area, and if we don't show leadership in this area, Gavi and Gates will take over the space with other implementing agencies and NGOs, and we risk trailing behind priorities set by Gavi and Gates. The hub is really a way of reversing this trend at global level, and something that we think is important for us to put ourselves in the driver's seat here and show leadership in this area. The third part of the hub is to provide improved guidance and technical assistance. And the reason for doing this is that it's not efficient for each agency to be developing guidelines or training materials separately on similar topics. There have been instances where work is being duplicated, or when separate guidance on the same topic is being provided by WHO and UNICEF separately. This is, of course, creating confusion at regional level and even at country level, and the hub is a way of responding to this issue. The fourth rationale, I would say, for the hub, or one of the areas of work at headquarter level, is to generate the evidence for a menu of technological and systems solutions around immunization supply chains. The reason why we're doing is because we owe it to countries to provide them with the best advice possible based on the same set of evidence. Otherwise, each agency could be advising countries or promoting different solutions to the same problem, where we'd be better aligning ourselves on this. Likewise, both agencies are best placed to be the honest clearinghouse of new solutions and the evidence around this. In a world where there's more and more groups that are self-promoting their own solutions to countries, and sometimes without very good evidence. So this is one aspect that WHO and UNICEF as the hub want to work on. The fifth and last is supporting the adoption and implementation of the comprehensive EVM approach. And the reason for this is because both agencies are vested and resourced to support the EVM initiative. And it's better to work and move forward together on this joint effort than trying to do it separately as agencies. And this is all the more important as we move into EVM improvement planning and the implementation phase. In practice, what does this all mean to you? Or what does this all mean for you? Well, given the success of this approach at headquarter level, we have the desire to promote the hub concept between WHO and UNICEF at sub-headquarter levels. Of course, this is very ambitious, but we can start taking baby steps slowly and in a few tangible ways that I'm going to list now. First one is we want to start organizing regional WHO UNICEF workshops where our logistics focal points and our logisticians at regional level and perhaps even at country level from both agencies could meet to discuss issues, and we start activities around joint planning on various related aspects, particularly as it links with the Gavi immunization supply chain strategy. Another tangible way that we would like to expand the hub at sub-headquarter level is to build internal WHO and UNICEF capacity and knowledge so that both region and country office focal points can be up to date on the latest thinking, tool, guidance, methods, and evidence related to immunization supply chain. So this is a way of building our own internal capacity all the way down from headquarter to country level. A third aspect is by supporting priority countries as the hub and operationalizing the hub framework in a country setting. We have a few countries that are targeted for this, which have been decided based on sort of the right opportunity that are presenting themselves and various elements that align themselves well for us to explore a targeted hub support. And these will be in DR Congo, in Pakistan, in Cameroon, in Nepal, and Haiti. In these 5 countries, there are existing opportunities to strengthen the comprehensive EVM approach and move this agenda past the assessment phase towards the 3 steps that are described in the joint statement, and that's described in my third email. Um, the other is we have the opportunities to leverage country funding through HSS and making the links with the comprehensive EVM improvement plans, the CMYPs, and the HSS, so that all these pieces fit nicely together. So that was another reason for those 5 countries. Um, a third is just to support the establishment of a multi-partner in-country working group on immunization supply chain. The idea is to have some sort of a group in-country, and that group could be convened by WHO and UNICEF country office focal points, and that group will help oversee progress related to planning, implementation, and monitoring of the comprehensive EVM approach as described in the joint statement. So it's a bit like having an in-country task force on EVM to move that agenda forward. And the fourth opportunity to select these 5 countries for targeted hub support is we're able to mobilize resources at the global level to ensure that our agency, regional and country offices can be staffed adequately and supported for this through the Gavi business plan. So we're quite keen to move forward on that. Of course, there's likely to be other manifestations of the hub in country that could take the form of joint advocacy visits, joint operations research on pieces, and supporting priority areas around CTC, LMIS, EVM, temperature monitoring, CCEM, and so on. So with these opportunities that are presenting themselves to do more on immunization supply chain and logistics through Gavi, I would strongly encourage you to think how we can do more together as the hub, and don't hesitate to let us know how we can support from HQ level. Diana, Solo, Isaac, Analia, and I, together with Paul, Ryan, and Dan, we're standing ready to support you.